stop. Her foot was already past the edge, one breath away from falling. A woman with nothing left stood above the city. Then a voice behind her broke the night with an offer that rewrote fate. Marriage, protection, and a child saved from being taken forever. Her heel slipped on stone polished by wealth and carelessness. For a split second, the world tilted, and the city below opened like a dark promise that asked nothing and judged no one. The woman did not scream. She did not cry. She simply stood there, arms tight at her sides, breath shallow, eyes fixed on the endless drop below. A crowd had gathered behind her on the penthouse roof. Security, guests in fine clothes, people who had spent the night laughing and drinking without noticing the quiet storm building just beyond the glass doors. Their faces now held fear, curiosity, and distance, as if standing back could protect them from responsibility. The woman's name was Naomi Carter. She was tall, slim, and worn down in ways money could never see. Her dress was simple, too light for the cold air at this height. Her hands were empty because she had left everything else behind. No bag, no phone, no proof that she had once belonged somewhere. Behind her, a man stepped forward slowly. He did not shout. He did not rush. He raised a single hand, calm and steady, and the roof fell silent. His name was Hon Junesio. The city knew him as the Korean heir, a name spoken in boardrooms, headlines, and private rooms where decisions were made that shaped lives far below. A man born into power, trained to carry it, and expected to protect it at all costs. Tonight, he was not thinking about power. He was watching Naomi's shoulders rise and fall, counting her breaths, knowing that one wrong word could end her life. She stood at the edge, because the world had quietly pushed her there. Naomi was 34 years old, but her eyes looked older, not tired, experienced, like someone who had learned that hope could be dangerous if held too loosely. Her skin was cold from the wind, but inside her chest, everything burned. Within the first moments, anyone could see she was not chasing attention. This was not drama. This was an ending she believed had already been written. Her silence was loud. June-SEO moved closer, step by careful step, stopping just far enough to avoid making her feel trapped. He spoke her name, not loudly, not softly, but with respect. Naomi did not turn. Her gaze stayed locked on the city lights below, glittering like promises she had never been allowed to keep. She had once believed in steady work, honest effort, and patience. She had believed that if she kept her head down and her heart clean, life would meet her halfway. It had not. Naomi grew up learning responsibility early. Her mother worked double shifts and came home smelling like cleaning supplies and tired pride. Her father left when Naomi was 10, saying he would come back, then never did. Naomi learned not to wait for people who walked away. Years later, when her sister passed after a long illness, Naomi became something she never planned to be, a guardian. Her nephew Isaiah was 6 when Naomi took him in. Small hands, big questions, a laugh that filled rooms she thought were permanently empty. Isaiah called her auntie, but she loved him like a mother who had no room to fail. She worked long hours in social care, helping others navigate systems she trusted would never turn on her. She was wrong. A paperwork review turned into an investigation turned into doubt. Doubt turned into threats she did not deserve. Anonymous complaints, missed forms, deadlines she was never told about. Naomi spent days in offices that smelled like dust and rules. She spoke calmly. She explained. She waited. Silence answered her. Then came the letter. Custody under review. Temporary relocation. Best interest of the child. Best interest felt like a knife. Isaiah cried quietly the night she read it. Asked if he had done something wrong. Naomi held him and told him no, while her heart split open. She asked for help. From agencies, from charities, from anyone who would listen. Doors closed softly. Emails went unanswered. By the time she arrived at the Penthouse party, she was already exhausted beyond fear. She had been told the Korean heir would be there, that he funded child welfare programs, that he sometimes helped when systems failed. She came not to beg, but to ask. But the assistant smiled politely and said he was unavailable, suggested another day. Another day did not exist, so Naomi walked past the glass doors and climbed to the roof, where the air felt honest and the ground stopped lying. Now she stood at the edge, believing the city would finally stop asking things from her. Behind her, Junesio spoke again. He told her she was not invisible. That sentence landed in her chest, like a memory. She turned her head slightly, enough to see him from the corner of her eye. He looked nothing like the headlines. No arrogance, no impatience, just focus, concern, and something else. Recognition. He told her he knew about Isaiah. Naomi's breath caught. She asked how June-SEO explained he had read the reports earlier that evening. One of his foundations flagged the case. Something about it felt wrong. Too fast, too quiet. She laughed once, short and empty. Too quiet had become her life. June-SEO did not deny it. He acknowledged it. And then he made the offer that changed the air. He said, marriage, not romance, not rescue. Marriage as protection. A legal bond that would shield Isaiah from removal. A public tie that would force scrutiny on the case. A union that would make Naomi untouchable by quiet systems that thrived on silence. Naomi stared at him. She asked why, answered with truth that did not seek sympathy. Because his family was forcing him into a marriage that would secure power, not happiness. Because he was tired of watching wealth be used to control lives instead of protect them. Because if he did nothing tonight, he would become the kind of man he hated. Naomi felt the wind push against her back. The edge waited. She felt fear, but something stronger rose beneath it. Anger. Not loud anger, focused anger, the kind that builds instead of burns. She asked what the cost would be. June-SEO said 6 months. A contract, a shield, mutual protection. He would secure Isaiah's safety. Silent lawyers, immediate action, full transparency. She would stand beside him publicly. No lies, no fake affection, just presence. Naomi understood systems. She understood power. She understood that rules bent for those who stood under brighter lights. Her silence stretched. The crowd behind them waited, helpless, watching a woman weigh a future against a fall. Naomi stepped back from the edge, one step, then another. Her knees trembled, but she did not fall. That moment did not end with applause. It ended with quiet relief. Papers were signed that same night. The marriage made headlines before dawn. People argued about motives, about image, about control. No one asked Naomi how it felt to breathe again. The next day, lawyers arrived at the agency handling Isaiah's case. Files were reopened, timelines questioned, complaints traced back to a private contractor pushing children into relocation for profit. The truth surfaced slowly, like something dragged into light after years underground. Naomi sat in a waiting room, holding Isaiah's hand when the apology came. It was clean, professional, too late. But Isaiah stayed. That was the victory. Still, the conflict did not end there. Junisio's family moved quietly but firmly. Meetings without Naomi, conversations behind closed doors, pressure disguised as concern. Naomi felt eyes on her everywhere. At events, in halls, in rooms where wealth breathed through the walls. She did not fight. She stood. Her power was silence. Her armor was dignity. At a family gathering meant to break her, she listened as offers were made. Money, property, freedom from the marriage. She declined without raising her voice. She stated that Isaiah was safe now. That was all that mattered. The room grew cold. June-SEO watched her from across the table and understood something he had never been taught. Strength did not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply refused to move. The turning point came not with argument, but with exposure. June-SEO released documents tying his family's business practices to harmful child placement systems across multiple regions, funds redirected, programs dismantled, oversight demanded. The backlash was fierce, but so was the truth. Public apologies followed, reforms announced, programs rebuilt. Naomi stood beside Junicio as cameras flashed, not smiling, not hiding. Isaiah watched from home, safe, drawing pictures of tall buildings and people holding hands. 6 months passed. The contract reached its end. June-SEO placed the papers on the table between them, calm and respectful. Naomi looked at them and felt something unexpected. Peace. Peace. She had survived the edge. She had protected her nephew. She had learned that dignity could stand in rooms built to erase it. She did not sign. She chose, not because she owed him, because she trusted him. They rebuilt slowly, carefully, on honesty, not need. Naomi returned to advocacy work, this time with resources that matched her heart. Junicio used his platform to amplify stories that were once ignored. Together, they changed things quietly. not through noise, through presence. Some people reach the edge not because they want to leave the world, but because the world has stopped listening. Some strength speaks softly and still moves mountains, and sometimes survival begins the moment someone finally says, "You matter."